I don't know if y'all know what time it is or not, but it's story time. So, a little bit ago, I put out something about the troops and how I felt like people shouldn't be saying negative things about the decisions that the lead responded. And then I want to tell you my pushback and then kind of add a couple of things here. Because I found my social voice years ago, like 1990. I've been working in radio for 36 years straight. In fact, to the drum or to the beat of having my own. I don't know if y'all know what time it is or not, but it's story time. So, a little bit ago, I put out something about the troops and how I felt like people shouldn't be saying negative things about the decisions that the leaders made to be involved with the war, right, in Iran. And I asked for some of my military buddies to opine, and some of them have. Some of them probably haven't even gotten to it yet. But one of my military buddies, his name's Leon, and he responded. I want to read what he responded, or his response, okay? And then I want to tell you my pushback and then kind of add a couple of things here. Because I found my social voice years ago, like 1990. I've been working in radio for 36 years straight. In fact, to the drum or to the beat of having my own radio station digitally, because now we're on digital stuff, right? For the last 10, 12 years, whatever it is. And I'm a very vocal person. I've been doing this for decades, right? Major market radio stations, morning shows, and all that. So this is what I do. Leon may not be that readily available to do a back and forth, right? But I'm sure he wouldn't mind me bringing this to, because he's not like hiding from me. There's nothing to hide from anyway. But look, let me read what he said. So he responded to what I said. He said, "I respect you, brother, and I respect your perspective, especially when it comes to the military. On matters like this, I tend to listen closely to those who have served," which I appreciate because I think that matters, right? Yeah, that's just my little 2 cents worth there. He says, "That said, I don't think moving to another country simply because you disagree with a certain decision that's made, this isn't how democracy is meant to function." That's what he said. And I agree with that. But my pushback is this. I never said that people should just move to another country because they disagree. I said, because I think it's true, I think that there are some people who all they do is disagree with the people who are running this country, whether you like them or not, right? Especially when it comes to a war, and I'll get to that in a minute. That's all they do is keep pushing back, keep pushing back. It's like automatic. And I get it. I get it. You very seldom hear me come on talking about I don't like this side or that side. And it could be, I believe it's mainly because as a military person serving, I learned some things. And we certainly don't go and fight in the military. And we fight for the country, right? We don't fight for the Democrats. Oh, well, the Democrats believe in this, so we're not going to fight today. Or the Republicans. That's ridiculous. And if you believe that that's ridiculous, then you must believe that it's equally as ridiculous to when it gets to a point where someone makes a decision to send the country to war and you don't back it, at least on the outside. You don't have to believe in it. You don't have to agree with it. But you have enough in you to come in a public place. And nothing can be more public than social media these days. And because of our country, the way it's designed, because the very people who defend that freedom we have, they're out there now defending it and putting themselves in harm's way so that everybody can use the internet. Our adversaries are the main ones on here, mostly pretending to be us, stoking the fire, stoking it up, right? And a lot of people just aren't They don't understand. I understand. I understand because I build this stuff. I understand this. I understand. Let's just say I understand. Leave it at that. Right? And I don't think a lot of people understand that. So, and they feel free with all their red, white, and blue to come out and just lay it in on these people who make the decision to do what they do. Now, the other point I want to make, the other rebuttal I'd like to make here is, in my opinion, we got to be careful because these people make judgments on what they're going to do, meaning our adversaries, to us and how they're going to do things to us based on you, regular everyday Americans that they hear complaining and beefing about our leaders. That's who they are. Now, you don't like to hear that word attached to Trump and other guys. You don't want to hear leaders. You want to hear stupid orange man. I get it. What you're not going to hear is me saying anything negative about either side, because I feel like that's dishonorable, of me to do that. I'm a military guy. I think it's a little dishonorable to do that, especially even when you serve and your time is up. But we swore to protect and serve the country. That's a big deal to me. You know what I mean? And I can't see why people think it's okay and how they're protecting the country when they're on social media just talking about how we don't care about the president, we don't care about, and he's an idiot for bringing us into the war and whatever. I think there should be a line. I mean, we get to say what we want, so that's not the issue here. So it's not about, not being able to say what you want to say. It's about being responsible for what you say, in my opinion, right? And I think more people should speak up about it, especially the people who swore to protect and serve the country. And for me, I think it goes beyond your service date. I really do. And even if you never served, you should have a certain love for the country, even if it doesn't go your way. I mean, we learned that when we were kids. We didn't hate our parents and want to see harm come to them because we couldn't go to the club when we're 14 and you're supposed to be 18, or whatever it might be, right? We're taught that at home. But then we grow up and we turn into these people who we think we just say and do whatever we want, not even paying attention to what the ramifications can be of it. All right, so moving on. Now, Leon also says, history has shown us it's just not that simple. And that's why we have free elections, to create a path for change from within. At the same time, people shouldn't feel obligated to blindly defend the United States. Let me read that line again. At the same time, people shouldn't feel obligated to blindly defend the United States just because it's their home. I don't know if I don't know about that one. Actually, I do know about that one. I don't agree with that at all. I just got to be honest. Let me read it again. At the same time, people shouldn't feel obligated to blindly defend the United States just because it's their home. Let me give you an example of when you should defend the United States of America. Let me see. This might be a tough one. Let's say, and I'm being sarcastic here, let's say when it's a time of war and the enemy is threatened over and over again to wipe the USA off the face of the map for years. My fellow Marines back in 1983, one of the most prominent killing sprees. They killed a bunch of them in the Marine Corps barracks in Lebanon through their proxies. Everybody knows this. Well, everybody don't know this because some people just say whatever and they don't care what they know. And on and on and on. The hostage situation. I'm old enough where I'm 60 nearly in some months, where I know about all this. And it's historic anyway, so we should know. Especially if we're on here picking sides, right? Because that's what it amounts to in my estimation. Okay. Now, so I don't know if it's blindly defending, but we certainly should defend. This is our home. This is where we live. And so I made a statement like, well, if you don't like America or if you disagree with what we do, because if you take sides, if you say we're wrong for starting a war with Iran based on what they said. Now, I don't sit in that war room or wherever they are, and I don't know what they see that we don't see, and we don't know what they're telling us. And I know they got these Epstein files and all this other stuff. It's a mess. But if we don't, in my estimation, stop being so emotional about some of this stuff, I think we're going to be in trouble. Right? But let me move on. That line, blindly defend the United States just because it's their home. That's a hard one for me, Leon, I got to tell you. But like I said, this is my brother, so I can speak freely here. And maybe Leon and I will get on here and do a one-on-one if he wants. I mean, that'd be great. Real patriotism, he goes on to say, allows room for critique. Of course, everybody should be able to critique. However, my only issue is, I'm going to drop that in here, when your criticism helps them, and I'll tell you how it helps in a minute, when your criticism of what our leaders are doing with information that we're not privy to, right? When our criticism rises to the point where it hurts them. See, and let me tell you another reason why I'm so moved by this. I heard that they sent Marines. They took them from Okinawa, right? And that Marine Expeditionary Unit, that was us. That was me. All Marines aren't in that group or aren't connected to that group in the way that they're connected to that group to get on that little ship and have to come out and face fire and stand there and man the... All Marines don't do that. But that doesn't take away from any other Marines, because we all support each other. We're brothers. Don't get it twisted. But we all have our jobs, right? And as long as we know or hear that that's happening, right, as a country, then we need to be responsible for what we say. Now, I would submit that if we all started to act like we support our country, our leaders, and look more united when our boys are in harm's way, I would like to imagine that can be a little helpful, maybe. A little helpful to see the galvanization of the country. Maybe. I would say yeah, but I don't want to go too far because I know how people are. And I'm not understanding why people don't get that. And maybe I'm too patriotic. Maybe that's it. I don't know. But I'm just telling you how I feel. Okay? Now, Leon goes on to say, like I said, real patriotism allows room for critique. Okay. You can critique anytime you want. But responsibility is in there. Let's be responsible with our critique, right? That's all. I'm not even going to go any further than that with that. So it says, if Iran were to directly attack the U.S., then of course you defend the country with everything. Pausing right here. Got to pause here, guys. I know I'm doing a lot of pausing, but it's important, right? So I'll read that line again. Real patriotism allows room for critique. If Iran were to directly attack the U.S., then of course you defend the country with everything. So let me get this straight. Let's see, directly attack. Now, Iran has been saying, death to America, they killed a bunch of Marines back in 83, a year before we went into the Marine Corps. It was all on the news. We grown, we 17, 18, we see it. And we know what they've been doing. The hostages, they've been doing this for years. And they did. It was the proxies of Iran. It's just like the same beast, right? We know what they want to do. So with that line there, I got to understand that. Are we saying, well, let them get a nuke? Because that's what the whole thing is. They were working on nukes, and people say, no, they're not, whatever, right? So let them get a nuke, shoot it over here. They're working with China. It's understood in some areas. They've got hypersonic missiles to deliver such a thing, possibly, right? So we should let them get that off, and then we all come together. Is that what I'm supposed to understand? Really, I'm just being honest. I'm not trying to be sarcastic, but I'm just trying to lay it out, because I think it's time for someone to say something, right? And maybe they are. Maybe I'm not hearing anybody else. But I know a lot of people who serve like I serve. And believe me, I'm not one of these Marines that, oh, every day is Marine Corps, hoorah. No. But I do have a certain amount of pride. Yes, I do. That I served. And a few times we were called and it fizzled out. Thank God. But it doesn't always work that way for everybody. And it's not just, we get to be out here flapping our gums and hurting those guys who are in harm's way, because it does hurt. And here's how. Once again, it hurts because it lets them see that we're divided. See, they know, those guys who are in charge, the generals and the people at the Pentagon, they're not going to waver. Right? But they know there are people in our country who would take a different position. And please leave them alone. They didn't do anything to us yet, right? And I say it that way because I'm trying to drive home the point. And it really hurts me to my core when our own say something like that. Now, wait a minute. We all get to say what we want to say, and everybody has a different perspective, and I respect that 100%, right? But when we start sounding like we're thinking more in terms of being fair to our adversaries than our guy, it's a problem, I feel. It's just my opinion. All this is just my opinion on my little deal here. So, Leon goes on to say, the situation in the Middle East is far more complicated. Sure it is. I don't know exactly how much more complicated. I watch all the different varying news stories as everybody else. And they do vary based on whose perspective is what. But at the end of the day, us complaining about the decisions that are made gets our guys hurt, because they will keep going. They may have wanted to stop. They may have feared those leaders in Washington. But no, we keep leaning on that part of the country that those adversaries may feel is weak. They may say the weak Americans, a lot of them. We hear a lot of them. Let's keep pushing. We would have stopped, but it sounds like all we got to do is, they're scared. We can just keep pressing them, and he'll feel the heat and have to bring it down, and we could be. Just saying. So we have a duty to our fellow, because they're our fellow, man. They're our people. That's me, guys. That's me back in the 80s out there. That's what you do. You're doing this, and I'm out there. I'm already in it. What are you doing? What are you doing? Right? What are you doing? I just want people to see that at least. Now, let me tell you something. I know people will say, well, man, get out of here. Oh my God. I can hear that. Somehow I got this third ear where I can hear that. And that's fine. I'm here for the smoke. I'm here for it, right? But I on the off chance that somebody might hear me or more people might hear me just with this. Do we got to come on every day? At this moment, when we're in war and our people in harm's way, do we got to keep going though, guys? Is it going to change it? They're going to say, oh yeah, a lot of people don't think he's doing a good job. It's time to get him out tomorrow. Is that going to happen? I think this is the last paragraph here, and then I'll be done. It says, the situation in the Middle East is far more complicated. I read that line. It says, our involvement goes back decades, and yes, it does, particularly with our role in establishing and supporting Israel, right? Israel. Okay? A lot of people have their thoughts about Israel versus Palestine. Everybody knows what's going on. I don't even want to bring it up because there's no need to. We already know. He says, in my view, if we weren't so deeply engaged with Israel, there might be less targeting of our military. I almost want to cry. And I don't even cry because I'm too cool to cry. No, I almost want to shed a tear because, wow, that line right there might be less targeting of our military. We should just buckle down and just don't let, they can say what they want and let them get all the nukes and let them do what they want to do. I mean, I don't know. Do they have nukes? Maybe what in the world is going on? But maybe it's just the people around me, right? Because here's what I do know. I know that these algorithms, right, they really feed into what you like. If you hit something and you hit it again, they'll feed you more of that. So maybe I'm just seeing my people. Maybe it's not like that all around. I don't know. But it certainly feels like everybody I know is like Leon, like my brother. I don't even know anybody who doesn't think like my brother Leon. Now, if it wasn't for the fact that I'm not afraid to stand alone on ideas, and I've always been rewarded in having my own idea and really going. I'm a free thinker. I don't have to go with the crowd, I guess I could say, right? I probably would join into, but I can't join into something that doesn't make sense to me, right? And I could be wrong. I could be terribly wrong. But I'm not going to be wrong or feel like I don't agree, but go in so nobody will say anything about me or look at me crazy or, I can't do it. And I used to do that when I was a kid. Prior to going into the Marine Corps, I found my something, I found my North Star, like my true where I am. Because many times I felt like things weren't going to work out with just training and things were kind of tough. And I just kept going. I said, nah, I'm going to do it. I'm going to make it. I'm just going to get it done. And was able to make it every time. I learned a lot. I owe the Marine Corps a lot for how I am today versus the little teenage kid prior to. I got to start there. I've done a lot in my life, right? So anyway, last line here. Nonetheless, and this is what I love, last line that I'll read here. And it says, and it's the last line. Nonetheless, I pray this doesn't escalate any further because no one truly wins in war. And he says, Semper Fi. Call me by my childhood name, Gillis Gill. It's my brother, man. It's my brother right there, Leon. And finally, I'll say, look, we get to say what we want to say. I'm just saying, things are already in motion. Let's find a way to back up, perhaps, back up on the rhetoric. I don't see the good it does. I see how it helps them clearly. If somebody can explain to me how. Oh, I get it. It just had a light come on. So if we keep saying how crazy our leaders are for doing it, and Iran wins, right, and we have to pull back, that's the issue, right? Is that what it is? Somebody tell me. Because if it is, then we go back to them saying death to you, bombing us, doing all things with their proxies. And then maybe, before I go, what if they do get the bomb and then send it over here? What if that happens? What do we do then? And we could have kept them from getting the bomb. But what if? Thanks for watching, everybody. That's all I can tell you. Appreciate it.